Hey, welcome into another episode of Fat Guy Podcast. I am the Fat Guy. Most people call me Brett. Are you ready for extreme keto? Extreme keto and the 100 pounds in 4-month weight loss challenge. I know it sounds crazy. And boy, the potential for failure is high. And I'm one of those people that I like big risk reward. And then I also like playing it safe. Like I'm kind of a conundrum. Like there's many times in my life where I super weigh the odds and play the safe side. And then on the other time, I'm an extreme gambler. Matter of fact, I played poker for a living for 2 years. All I've done this year that's provided me income is play poker. Now, I'm not a professional poker player this year. I don't know. The only income I've made this year came from playing poker. So I guess I am a professional poker player again. I don't know. Nevertheless, I just say that to let you know that I'm not afraid of a risk reward type thing. And look, I'm tired of having this last weight on me around. My weight loss journey has, I think, been measured, researched, but it's time to kick it up. And I want to talk to you about it. And I want you to go on this journey with me. Take this journey with me. Today is the day one. Day one. So before we get to that, since the podcast is going up a notch now to extreme, it's more important than ever that you realize that I'm not a doctor. I have no formal medical training, and I'm not here to give you specific medical advice or weight loss advice. Anything I say in this podcast is simply me relating my experiences and my opinions. That's based on my personal weight loss journey, my current weight loss journey, and the hundreds of hours of research I've done into weight loss, which includes a ketogenic diet, low carb, high fat, and fasting. All those things are my personal experiences. You shouldn't interpret anything I say as being specific medical or weight loss advice for you. You should always consult a doctor before you do any kind of health change, weight loss change, diet change, etc. I can't stress that enough. Follow us on social media, Fat Guy Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And by all means, subscribe to the podcast, especially if you want to go on this journey, because I'm excited about this journey, and I haven't been excited about anything for a very long time. But I feel like my mind is right. I feel like my body is right. I feel like it's the right time. And come along with me if you're up for something like that. You can subscribe to the podcast in all the normal ways you get podcasts, whether you're a Google Play person or a Apple Podcast person. And if you don't know anything about that, then you can just download the Spreaker app, Spreaker. Download that Spreaker app. Once you download it, search for Fat Guy Podcast. Hit that heart button. Follow us. Subscribe us. You can see all previous episodes. Get notified about new episodes. And the cool thing about that app is, one, it helps me financially, which, when I say that, don't think these podcasts make me any money. I just got to... I've monetized the podcast through that app, I think almost a year ago now, and I think I've made $22. So, it's not like, I'm going to make a living doing the podcast. I do the podcast because I'm passionate about it. But if you do listen, they're using the Spreaker app, you may hear a 30-second ad at the beginning sometimes or something, and just know that that's helping me offset the cost of having the hosting plan. Like I said, I think I made $25 on the podcast in the last year, and it cost me $200 a year for podcast hosting. So I'm definitely not making money, and that doesn't even take into account all the hours I put into it. So extreme keto and the 100-pound weight loss challenge, what is it? Well, let's talk about the challenge first. So we're into September. We're halfway through September, so I've already squandered most of one of my months, which really makes this even harder. I wish I would have, but my mind wasn't right at the beginning of September. My mind wasn't right then. But I figured that if I do a very fasting-focused, extreme ketogenic way of eating, that I could take off 100 pounds by December 31st. That'd be about 25 pounds a month. That's just a little bit less than a pound a day. Is that highly optimistic? It is. It's on the very high end of the optimistic side. Let's be honest. Is it dangerous is probably the second question. And I would say, I feel, knowing all the research, knowing my body, knowing that the things that I know, I don't think it's that dangerous. I think the danger aspect of it is very, very low, very, very insignificant. That doesn't mean that there isn't any danger there, but I think the danger aspect of it is very, very minimal. And I'll be doing everything I can to minimize that. So why not call it extreme keto when it's just fasting? Well, keto is short for ketosis or ketogenic, which simply means you're putting your body in a ketogenic state of ketosis, and your body begins this complicated but simple process of converting fat into energy, which ultimately winds up being ketone bodies, beta hydroxybutyrate being the main one, and that's what fuels your cells. It fuels something like 90% of the cells in your body. There's very few cells in your body that have to have glucose to function. Some of those are in the brain, and I don't want to get off in the weeds of everything. But nevertheless, when you're fasting, that's exactly what you do. When you're fasting, your body goes into natural ketosis. There's no carbs coming in. Your body has to turn to fat stores for fuel. It takes that fat, gets converted into ketone bodies, which fuel your cells. So it is the most extreme form of ketosis. And I can give you some examples from my fasting that I've done. Normally, when I'm just on my regular ketogenic diet, my ketone levels, and I have a blood ketone meter where I check my ketone levels using blood, which is the only accurate way to do it. Those pee sticks are useless. So if anybody's ever told you to buy them, don't buy them. They're a waste of money. But I have the Keto Mojo ketone / blood sugar. So it checks my blood glucose, and it also has sticks to check my ketone levels. So when I'm doing keto, and I'm doing right, boy, I'm living right. I'm walking the keto road. My ketone levels are rarely more than 0.5, 0.6, and rarely ever more than 1. So I would say 0.5, 0.6, 0.7-ish is usually where they're at. And that's like the very minimum level of ketosis. And I've even gone through stretches where it would be 0.3, 0.4, and some of these ketone purists that goes, oh, you got to be in ketosis to lose weight. That's been proven to not be true. There's a lot of benefits to ketosis, but you don't have to be in deep ketosis to lose weight. And I've evidenced that. I lost 125 pounds. So now when I fasted, once you get around day 3, those ketone levels get up pretty high, 1.5, 2. I think the longest fast I've done is 7 days, and around 7 days I was at like 3.2, I think, on the ketone level. So it's extreme ketosis. What does that do for you? Well, fasting is hard. The first day is hard. It's not hard up till you get to around hour 16, 17, 18, and then it gets hard, and it stays hard for off and on for 12 to 24 hours. So especially day 2, end of day 1 through day 2 is tough. But after that, your body really gets into converting fat into ketones, and you get an elevated level of ketones, and you start feeling good, and the hunger gets less and less. And then day 4-ish to day 5-ish are amazing. Like every time I've made it to day 4, day 5 fasting, I have felt euphoric, incredible. You have all this energy. Your mind is super clear. You feel so light and lean and trim and weightless, and it's just it's an amazing state to be in. And I was talking to my friend Amanda earlier today, who I think she did a 7-day fast not long ago, and family or whatever talked her into breaking it, and she was so frustrated after she broke it because she was feeling so good. She could have just kept on fasting. So there's a lot of health benefits to fasting. Anytime you hear people talk about fasting, you always hear them talk about the dangers of fasting. Oh, this could be dangerous. But you don't really hear people talking about all the good things that happen when you fast. And I'll probably get into that some over the course of this journey, but I'm not going to get into a lot of it now. But there are a ton of things, ranging from, probably the big one is autophagy, where your body starts eating its own protein and damaged cells. And so it's a recycling of damaged cells. And there's a lot of research that shows that this is one of the main ways that your body eradicates cancer before it comes cancer. These cells that are slightly damaged, they have some slight DNA damage, or they're not optimally performing. They're performing at 25%. And for whatever reason, your body hasn't got rid of them. When you go into a fasting, your body starts scavenging, and it scavenges all these weak cells, damaged cells, consumes them, and gets rid of them. And so it's like a deep deep spring house cleaning. And so just that alone is one of the many wonderful benefits of fasting. There's many other ones, though. I'm not going to get into that here. This is just my debut, day one of extreme fasting, the extreme keto 100-pound weight loss challenge. So I basically have 3.5 months left to lose 100 pounds. If I had a full 4 months, that'd be 25 pounds a month. But based on where I'm at now, I'm going to have to lose 25 pounds of what's left of this month. And I just don't know that that's possible. We'll see. So my goals and plans may change as this continues. So what I'm about to tell you now is my plan that I have today. I could change this plan tomorrow. I could change it a week from now. I could change it 2 weeks from now. I could change it a month from now. I don't know. I'm going to have to base that on how I feel. I'm going to have to base it on my health. I'm going to have to base it on my mental capacities. I'm going to have to base it on how my weight loss is going. I'm going to have to factor all these things in. Any plan that made is worth revisiting and retweaking. And that's been my whole weight loss journey has been that. I've constantly retweaked and changed. The more I learn, the more I change, the better I get at it. I think I'm really good at weight loss now. The thing that I haven't been good at is life. And that's honestly, that's the only reason I haven't met my weight loss goal yet. It's because life, primarily grief. I've just lost so many people. I've just lost everybody important to me, on the upper tier. And just so many different things. And grief overcomes me sometimes, which leads to, I don't want to call it depression. I want to keep calling it grief because I don't think it's depression. But that leads to me going off the rails sometimes. And I went a long time where it didn't. But after my mom passed, and that was kind of the end of every kind of conceivable good era I could ever have in my life. It's been a struggle. And so I'll do really well. But then I got in a stage where I just maintained weight. And to my credit, I maintained it a long time. I think I went 6-7 months where I maintained it. And then I hit a new level of grief, and where I was just laying in bed for days and eat donuts and stuff and gained a lot of weight. But then I would gather myself together, and I would get back keto, and I would start incorporating fasting, whether it be intermittent fasting day to day, or whether it be 2-day fast or 3-day fast. And I'd get the weight back down to a decent level, and then depression would hit again. Or grief or whatever. And then, this month was the anniversary of my mom's passing, which was especially brutal. I have to say, though, I didn't crash as hard mentally as I thought I would, but it still happened. And I feel now like a door is closed behind me. Not that I won't ever experience powerful grief over the passing of my mom. Not that I won't ever have issues with it. Not that it won't ever affect my eating, because I suspect that all will happen at some time. But I do feel like, in a way, hitting that 1 year mark officially closed a chapter to where, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I hate to be too optimistic about things like that, because that grief and loss is so powerful. It's not something you can micromanage, and so I would never pretend to. But I do feel like I've hit a point in time to where I should be able to develop enthusiasms about things and passions about things and not be derailed so dramatically by the issues like that, grief related specifically. This could all fall apart tomorrow. I don't know. This is just a feeling I have. So I'm going with the feeling. And so extreme keto, 100-pound weight loss challenge, that is it. Now, I almost made it my birthday, and I'll tell you this. If I was at 90 pounds December 31st and my birthday rolls around on January 7th and I somehow managed to peel the other extra 10 off by the 7th and I hit it by my birthday, I'd consider that a huge success too. If I hit it by the end of January, I'd consider that a success too. But I need a dramatic date. I need a dramatic goal. I need something awe-inspiring for me. I need something that's a Mount Everest for me. I've always been a person that is challenged by the Mount Everests in my life. And I've applied it to all aspects of my life, whether it was relationships or radio especially. God, when I was gung-ho radio, it was Mount Everest every day, and I loved that when radio was good. Ultimately, when radio turned to hell and become one of the worst businesses ever to work in, I didn't have that passion anymore, and honestly, I should have got out of radio longer than I did, but that's all I knew was radio. And I tried for a year or so to fight what was happening, but it just wasn't coming back. And so, I have to tell you, probably the last couple of years I did radio were just not good. It's kind of like your favorite artist that goes too long or your favorite boxer that refuses to retire before they go over the cliff. That was probably me in a radio story, but I ultimately did leave, and it took my mom needing me for it to happen, but I did, and I left not just radio, but all jobs behind us. I had an online business that I decided to ramp up because I could work from my laptop in a recliner across the room from my mom and be there for her. And I built that business up, and I built up really big, and I sold it for a nice chunk of money about a year and a half ago. And so, and that among other things has put me in a reasonable position where I thankfully don't have to stress too much about the day-to-day. Although I do sometimes. I actually started a little bit of work yesterday on building up some income, but nevertheless, God, I'm just so off the weeds here. So here's the thing. It's extreme keto. It's going to be fasting focused is what it's going to be. I will be keto when I'm eating and extreme keto when I'm fasting. And I'm really going to shoot for 3 months of 21 days fasting and 7 days eating. Now, that's extreme. I know it's extreme. And, if you're a person who only needs to lose 10 pounds, that's insanity. You don't have enough fat on you to support something like that. I got enough fat on me to support something like that. I could go probably 6 months without eating a drop of food and be fine. I have plenty of food stored on my body. So that's not an issue. I'm not going to starve. It's going to be a mental game, and it's going to be a health game. I got to make sure I stay on top of my electrolytes. I need to make sure that I stay on top of other vitamin and mineral deficiencies that may or may not happen. I follow people who do really long fasts, and what I've found for most of those people is they're just fine with water. Most of them don't even do, electrolyte supplementation, which I will be doing. I will be doing salt and potassium daily, and probably magnesium and calcium weekly. And I think the electrolytes is the one thing I'm really going to focus on. But I plan on having tests every 3 to 4 weeks to check, vitamin D, your B12, your all these other things that are very important and could slip by. So I do plan on being vigilant about that, but I think that I'll be fine, and I think that I have enough education on this that I've done myself to know how to do it well, but it will be extreme. So it'll be 3 or 4 times of fasting 21 days. Obviously, I barely can squeeze that in here for September because there isn't much of September left. Actually, I can't squeeze it in for September, but it's kind of a rollover thing to where, depending on how I plan it out, I could come close to getting 4 21-day fasting, but definitely 3. And on the days I do eat, which I plan on being between 4 and 7 days, I'm going to eat plenty of food. I'm going to try very hard to get my metabolism back up out of the gutter where it will fall. After a 21-day fast, your metabolism will definitely fall. But I don't think it's ever going to be a permanent thing. I've done a lot of research on that as well. I'm going to do keto and lots of food and get the metabolism back up on the eating windows, which will be days, 4 days to a week, and then try to get right back into the fasting. Now, the staying strict keto is going to be very important because it is so hard to get into a fast. Fasting isn't hard, but starting a fast is hard. The actual fasting is easy once you get into the 3rd day or something. But starting it, making yourself start it, and getting through that first day to 2 days is hard. Starting a fast is hard. Actually doing a fast is easy. So one way to help keep that easier is to make sure that on the eating days, when I eat for the week or the 4 days or 5 days or whatever I do, that I stay strict keto. So I keep the carbs really low so I don't have any of that sugar craving come on to make it even harder. And that's basically the plan. So here we go. How often am I going to update you? I'm thinking every 3 days or so, 4 days, 5 days, just depending on what happens. I want to update you on how I feel. I want to update you on the weight. I want to update you on any changes in plans. And see if we can knock this out of the park. So Extreme Keto 100-pound weight loss challenge. It begins today, which is probably yesterday because I probably won't publish this podcast until tomorrow. So you're hearing it today. I probably recorded it yesterday. But we are just now coming up on the 24-hour mark. I don't even think I'm quite there yet. Let me pull open my fasting app and see. Nope, I'm at 22 hours and 35 minutes. So we're still on day one. Here we go. Thanks for listening. Like, subscribe, share. Thanks for following me on my journey. I appreciate it.